So, if you have seen my past videos, I started making these videos because I started a new, basically, started a new system, a new saltwater system um, of the Fluval Edge 6 gallon. Um, so my main idea was I wanted to start a micro system, saltwater system. So I did a ton of research on how to do it, how to start it, and in the process, I've also looked into the different options on how to do it, and possibly make it easier than a lot of people made it seem. For instance, um, I instead of mixing my own salt and water, I would buy water that's already mixed from Petco. Um, so I figured, I didn't have to deal with the whole, parameters or all the chemicals in the water and minerals. I didn't have to monitor as much as if I just bought it already made, and instead of myself mixing it and possibly messing it up. There's a lot more room for error when you do it that way. So anyway, it looks my tank looks different now because it's been a while and a lot of things had happened. For the first fish that I added to my tank, I added a Valentini puffer fish, which was it wasn't impulsive because I did a lot of research, so I thought I could keep it in the tank, and it did work for a while, but a couple things were going on and it ended up dying. And here are the reasons why I think the puffer fish died. Actually, some of the possible reasons. I don't know exactly which one it was, or if it was a mixture of all of them happening together at once. Um, First of all, because I thought the water was already made, and it came from the ocean and stuff like that. So I thought I didn't have to cycle the tank, which I think I was wrong, because the tank still went through a cycle, regardless, because there was a lot of organic material in the tank that had to be cycled, basically. So it has to basically spoil, and then it goes through the process of going bad and produces ammonia and all the chemicals that everybody else knows about. I'm not an expert, but I did a little research. I just can't remember everything right now. So that was one of them. um, the tank was still very young. It wasn't mature enough, I think. Another one was that I did only have the pufferfish in there, which it was fine. But then as time went by, I wanted to add more fish. So I added a yellow-tailed damsel, not the one I have right now. I did kill two of them, and the reason why I think all those fish died, it wasn't because, first of all, damsels are known for being very hardy. So I think the reason why the damsels died is because the space is too small for two fish, two, especially a damsel, which is very territorial. It's very well known that they're very territorial. And the pufferfish was really big, actually, for this tank. They don't grow much more than 4 or 5 inches or something like that, but they do swim a lot and they do need a bigger space than 6 gallons. I thought I could make it happen. It was going to happen, but I think I just put a lot of stress in all of the fish that I put in. So that was another mistake I made. I put too much fish in there too soon, and fish that were not basically meant for such a small tank. So when the pufferfish died, I took it out. I had a damsel, and I killed it it died basically right before the pufferfish, and then the pufferfish died as well. And then after that, I left it for a little bit. I left the tank rest for a little bit. I also had only one coral that I got for free from my fish store, local fish store, which was a green star polyp, which I got for free. A tiny little frag that I got for free from one of the guys. Was really cool, and he gave it to me for free. It also died, which I knew there was something going on. I think the crabs didn't let it grow because they were just harass it all the time. They wouldn't let it open or anything. Another thing I did have too many crabs in there. I started with 6 for a 6-gallon tank. I realized that that was too many of them. I have one red crab, what's it called, the hermit crab, the red type, and it's really dominant and it's really aggressive. So I believe that one killed the rest of the crabs. They started slowly dying little by little. So I think that's what happened. So that I think those are some of the reasons why a lot of the livestock died, because there was too many things inside basically of this little tank. So I let it rest for a little bit, and then I did a complete water change, let it rest for a little bit again, and then I added the damselfish, the one that I currently have, that I've had for a few months now, and it's been doing really well. But that's the only fish I've had ever since then. I don't know if haven't done many more changes other than the rocks kind of just moving around, just because of whatever moves I make inside. I just kind of leave the rocks the way they are. However they stay. I did have to move from one apartment to another. So in the process of moving, it took me a couple months to find a place that I really liked. So I left my damselfish and obviously my whole tank with my friend, and he kind of neglected it a little bit because I was in another city. So I left him instructions. I bought water for him. I basically, all he had to do was just watch the tank, feed him. That's it. I would travel just to do the water changes and stuff like that. So there was a point where I told them, because he also wants to get a saltwater fish, with the saltwater tank. So I told him if he was ready, then he can practice with mine, and then if he wanted it, then he can buy one later for himself, but he can get a taste of what it's like. So anyway, basically he was taking care of it, but he didn't really take care of it really well. After a while, he said, I told him if he could make the water changes. He said yeah, he could do them. I explained to him how to do them, but he wouldn't give me really news or anything. So basically it went a while without water changes. So it started growing a whole bunch of cyanobacteria and algae. So once I got my tank back, it was just full of algae like crazy, and a lot of cyanobacteria everywhere. You wouldn't recognize this tank right now. So basically I brought it back home where I live now and started in the process of cleaning everything. By then I already had that little zoa that you guys see there. That one is I don't know what kind of zoa it is. I know it's a zoa, one of the cheap ones, nothing fancy. It's about like $15 for that rock that you guys see right there. It glows green and red or orange, I believe. And then I just recently purchased that other white one, that other white I forgot the name right now, but you guys can help me out with the name. I'm forgetting right now. It's a hard one to pronounce for me, but anyway, I just bought that one too. It's a white one, for like $10 here where I live now, and I just added that one. But the Zoa I've had for a while, and it's been growing actually. It's been doing well, even though the tank wasn't so much. So some of the changes that I made to the tank in order for me to get it back basically was to pretty much stir the sand as much as possible, get as much of the algae and the cyanobacteria manually as much as possible. Basically that's what I was doing, taking it out, filtering out. I would actually clean my filters twice a day sometimes. So I would clean the filter twice a day, and then I did a water change, and then I would try to get it. I would basically stir the sand and then do the water change right after, so I can get as much gunk as possible. I increased the flow. That's what you guys can see on the right side. There is like some sand missing. You can just kind of see the bare glass. That is because I moved the power head. Right now, or usually the way I have it is pointing up towards the wall, the back glass of the tank, as well as pointing towards the hang on the back filter, just to kind of slow down the flow. That pump it's too much flow for this tank. So I just kind of slow it down a little bit, so it's not too overwhelming for the fish and livestock as well as the coral. So what I did, I just move it a little bit so there can be more flow. I also added a chemical that's called Chemic Clean, but that was after. Once I realized that I wasn't able to get rid of all of it and it was starting to grow again, because there was some reminder there, I added that Chemic Clean, and I followed instructions basically. I just did my water change on Sunday. It's Tuesday, and this is the way it's looking right now. It looks like it's gone, but you never know. It can always grow back. So I'm just keeping an eye on it every day. So basically, what I want to do with this tank, I do have plans for it. Those plans include making net more efficient. Obviously, with this little tank, you cannot have a sump. I cannot actually add a skimmer or anything like that. So I'm trying to make it as efficient as possible. That's why I added that algae in the back that you guys see, that some people call it Cheeto algae. I added that in the back just because I want to get rid of as much phosphate and as much. Basically, it's kind of like a filter. Also, it traps a lot of the particles, food particles, and stuff like that. That'll feed the algae as well. I've also changed the light. I've had this light for a couple months. It's actually a really good one. I got it for really cheap. It's a marine land. I don't know what kind it is, but it's submergible. You can submerge it. I cannot submerge it in this tank because the top entrance is too little. If you guys know what the Fluval Edge looks like, you would know that it's a almost closed aquarium tank. So those are some of the things that I've added. I've also added a couple snails, actually 3 snails. I bought 2 of them, which are pretty cool because they already came with some algae, some coral algae on them. There's also a growth of coral algae in my tank, which I really like. You can see it on the pump, on the base of the pump. You can see it on some of the rocks. Some of the whiter rocks also have some of it growing, and I already have one that has a ton of algae on it. The one rock that you guys see on the right side. So right now, to summarize everything, what I have in my tank, I have only 1 damsel, 2 snails. I don't know what kind of snails they are. I forget. Every time I go and ask, I do my research and stuff like that. But I ask also the people at the aquariums, and I have really bad memory, so I always forget. But I added those 2 little snails. And then I added a huge one that's in the back. You guys can see it. That one doesn't move much, so I don't know if it's just not very active or if it's sick or if it's not going to make it. But I just recently added that one a couple of days ago, so I'm just kind of watching, see how it does. What I can tell you is that the snails do help a lot, as well as the crabs. They do clean up algae. One difference I've seen is that they go, like for instance, on the corals, the base of the corals, the plugs of the coral fracs that I have, they cleaned it really well. Actually, they had algae, they had all kinds of stuff growing around it, and they clean it really well. What I do sometimes is I just bring it down. The frac holder that I have, it's like acrylic frac holder. I bring it down to the sand level, so I let the crabs and the snails get on it whenever I need it to be clean. I give them easy access to it. But that's what's going on with my tank. I feel like there's a lot of changes to it. I just haven't mentioned all of them. So for the future, I have a couple plans for this tank, which include I might not have the damsel fish because of the fish that I want to add in here. I want to add a different one. Although I love the damselfish, is beautiful. I love the colors on the damselfish, and it's a really really cool fish to watch. It's very active and stuff. I might leave it if I can, but the reason why I might not have it is because of the fish that I want to add. It's kind of my ultimate fish to have. There's two of them that I really want, and that I definitely want to add to this tank. One of them is easier to keep. It's not a huge deal, but the other one is really hard to keep, and I have to get this tank ready for that fish. So it might compete. The damselfish might compete too much for food with the other fish, and definitely I would rather keep the other one that I want to add than the damselfish. Even though the damselfish is beautiful, I really want the other one just because it's a bigger challenge. It's I think it's more beautiful than the damselfish, and I want to make sure that I have the best conditions for that fish to survive and to make it happen. Because with this little tank, I don't know if I can make it happen. Some of those changes are going to include adding more of that Cheeto algae, pretty much. I might add different colors on algae. If I can find, there are some blue ones out there. There's some red ones as well. So I might add some of those, and I might add different also types of algae to this tank, almost like a planet tank, sorta, as well as a little bit more corals and some more livestock. I'll tell you guys as I add it, because honestly I don't know exactly what I want to add. I just want to make sure that I add those two fish for sure, and then also my plans for this tank also include having, instead of having too much fish, I just want to have those two fish, and then the rest it'll be mostly invertebrates. So it would be like shrimps, crabs, stuff like that. Those can survive in this little tank, and they wouldn't be stressed or anything, which is what I worry about with this fish. And but definitely those two fish, some people might think, oh, it's too many for that little tank and stuff like that. The reason why I'm getting those two fish is because they mostly move around the bottom and around the rocks, so they don't swim freely a lot. You guys will see once I get them. It might not be sometime really, really soon, within days, but it might be sometimes weeks, and I might add them little by little just to make it easier on the tank. I'm also not adding any right now just because I added chemically, and I don't know if it killed the couple pots that I would need to feed this fish. And also, so I'm just basically trying to see what goes down with this tank and how it develops. But if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. The reason why I'm making these videos is because I just want to share with other hobbyists, other people that want to start a reef tank, to get some ideas. Maybe you're limited to what you see on YouTube, including this video as well. So just trying to add to that, to those options, when you're researching for how to do certain things and how other people are doing it, just to get some ideas. And also to learn from my experience, know that I already killed the pufferfish and a couple damsels because I added too many fish, because my tank was still cycling and it wasn't mature enough. All those things, learn from my mistakes, and hopefully you don't make the same. Those are the reasons why I'm making these videos. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to like the video. You don't. If you want to comment something, let me know. But I'm not doing it for likes or for subscribers or money or anything. There isn't much of that in this kind of channels. The reefer channels, they don't get a lot of subscribers. They don't get a lot of likes or anything like that, just because there's so little of us, in this community, and there's so many options. That's why I'm not even thinking I'm gonna make a ton of likes, I'm gonna make a ton of subscribers or anything like that. But hopefully these videos of my little tank help other people do it. That's what I try to do. Anybody that asks me, how can you do this tank, when they see it, they think it's pretty cool that I have a tiny little tank. So I try to help them and encourage them to actually to make their own tank. And I tell them it's not that that hard. You do have to do a lot of research, but once you get everything done, once you understand it, it's really pretty simple to keep. But you are gonna make mistakes, so I try to teach him based on my mistakes, and that's what I'm trying to do with you. Anybody out there watching, even if it's one person or 1 million, I really don't care. So hopefully you guys learned something, and if you guys have any questions or anything that I might have passed, there's too many things in this tank that I can address in just one video. I probably have gone like 45 minutes just by talking. I don't really edit my videos too much because I don't want to spend too much time editing my videos, just because I don't want to do it. But anyway, let me know if you guys have any questions or anything. Alrighty, bye bye.